What's up, fitness fans? Welcome back to my channel. This is Igor from Vitruvian Physique. Today I want to talk about a fairly basic topic, but nonetheless something extremely important for getting as big as you possibly can. And plus, this is going to be a very important topic when it comes to differentiating between how a natural versus a non-natural bodybuilder trains. But first, you guys, here in Toronto, city gains. Guys, I am of course talking about the emphasis that you need to put in your workout routine on compound exercises. That is in contrast to isolation exercises. Alright, first things first.
First things first, I'm the realist.
No matter what exercise you're doing, whether it be triceps, biceps, chest, legs, free weights, pulleys, machines, cables, at the very top of that pyramid, which in a sense splits it all up, is compound or isolation exercises. Compound exercises being movements which are going to incorporate multiple muscle groups and multiple joints. A very standard example of that would be the bench press, which obviously the chest is providing most of the force, but in addition you're going to be using some shoulders and some triceps, and the movement you are doing is going to be through multiple joints, namely the shoulder and the elbow. In contrast, an isolation exercise, as the name implies, would be isolating one muscle group. For example, the bicep curl would be isolating the biceps, and the only joint at which the movement is happening, in this case a flexion, is at the elbow. So you guys may be thinking, okay, that's fine, I get the difference, but why does it matter? Well, with compound exercises, because you're using so many muscle groups, for example, just in the deadlift alone, we're using the quads, adductors, traps, hamstrings, rhomboids, abs, obliques, levator, scapula, and more. I can't even remember all these. In addition, you're going to be using a lot of smaller muscle groups situated throughout your body, which I don't even remember the name of because there's too many to count. These would be referred to as stabilizer muscles. These are the muscles which pretty much help you control the exercise or the movement because you're using free weights and you're going pretty heavy on the free weights, generally speaking. So because you're incorporating so many muscle groups, you're generally able to lift a lot more with these compound exercises than you would an isolation exercise.
4002.
For example, I've known a couple of guys who walked into the gym their first time working out, and on the deadlift they were able to do sets of 4 or 5 on 2 plates, which is a pretty respectable weight. I don't know anybody else who can walk into the gym, do an isolation exercise like bicep curl, put on 2 plates and start repping that stuff out, except for me. So therein lies the key difference. Because you're incorporating more muscles and you're lifting heavier weight, you are going to be eliciting maximal hormonal response, which at the end of the day, that is the key to bodybuilding and that is the key to getting big. I am of course talking about testosterone and growth hormone. Coincidentally, these are the main hormones or derivatives of these hormones which are used in most steroids. So therein lies a problem and kind of a tie into my earlier videos on who's natural or not. Again guys, I don't care if you're a fan of them, that's fantastic if they motivate you, but if there's an athlete who you're going to be taking their advice and you're going to be following their plans or whatever, and they claim as a natural but they're not, then their workout plans and their workout regimen might not be the best case for you, because hormonally you guys are like, you're not even apples and oranges, you're like apples and space shuttles, you're on a completely different field. Another positive point for compound exercises is that in a sense it's simpler to do progressive overload. Progressive overload is obviously like one of the main techniques used to get as big as you possibly can as you slowly increase the weight over time. With deadlifts, for example, as a compound exercise, this is fairly simple because let's say you're doing 200 pounds and you want to jump up. So you put on, 5s on each side. Now you're doing 210 pounds. That's an increment of 5%, which, is hard for your body, but you can accumulate to that. Whereas, for example, as an isolation exercise with bicep curls, if you were doing 20 pounds, the next jump in most gyms would be 5 pounds. So you're doing 25%. So you're doing 25 pounds now, sorry. And that's an increase of 25%, which is a lot. Imagine going 25% increase on 200 pounds in the deadlift. Suddenly you're doing 250. Not many guys can do that much of a jump. So that's definitely a positive for compound exercises. An additional bonus is time, because if you walk into the gym and you do a compound exercise such as the squat, the squat's using your back, your legs, your hamstrings, your glutes, even your calves and your upper back in some ways. You are working out so many muscle groups, and you're only going to do it, even though it's intense, you can probably finish a good set of squats in 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how fast you go. But if you were to theoretically work out each one of those individual muscle groups and give them the amount of time they require, you're going to be in the gym for like an hour just to get the same hormonal response and stress that you would have done with one set of squats. One more thing, guys, I forgot to mention before I actually stopped filming, but a couple of examples of compound exercises. You've obviously got the big 3 for powerlifting, which would be the bench press, the squat, the deadlift, and then some more. You've got pull-ups, bent over rows, barbell rows, dips, military press or shoulder press, and in addition, if you do alterations of those exercises, for example, front squats instead of back squats, or you know, you're doing different angles on the bench press, incline, decline, or if you're using dumbbells instead of barbells, it's the same thing. I mean, you're doing essentially the same movement, just with a small tweak. So theoretically, it's the same thing. So in summary, guys, it's kind of like a spectrum. On one hand, you have powerlifters and performance athletes. These guys can come into the gym, do nothing but compound sets, get a great workout, get strong, and go home. On the other side, you have not natural bodybuilders who theoretically don't have to put anywhere near as much emphasis on compound exercises. That's why y'all see, you know, like Mr. Olympias or like Jay Cutler, for example, will walk into the gym, choose a weight less than what I can do as a, you know, like smaller natural bodybuilder, but he'll pump it out for like 5 sets of 20 or something. They don't have to do as many compounds as us. And in the middle of the continuum, you have us natural bodybuilders. We have to, in a sense, train as both. We have to come to the gym, go hard, go heavy, go intense on compound exercises, elicit the maximum hormonal response, and then afterwards we can kind of train, you know, isolation exercises like a not natural bodybuilder. In a sense, isolation exercises are kind of like a bonus. We do it to get a good pump.
Blood is rushing into your muscles, and that's what we call the pump. It's as satisfying to me as coming is. Coming.
And elicit maximum hypertrophy, but theoretically, if you want to get as big as you possibly can, you gotta get the best of both worlds. But first, you guys mirror in Toronto. Oh man, that was scary. I thought it was like a fucking animal or some shit. An example of this would be the bench press, which obviously incorporates the chest. Well, it's really fucking. Come on, fuck off. Okay, first things first. So pretty much whatever.
First things first, I'm the realist.
Really? I'm of course talking about testosterone and growth hormone.
Estrogen.
Yeah, especially lots of that. Boo bitch tits. I'm of course talking about testosterone and Fuck you, Steve. I'm of course talking about Fuck.